Hello, happy Monday. I just thought I would do a quick lunchtime live. I hope you all had a great weekend. Today I thought I'd do a little bit of a Monday Mythbuster, still following on the same theme of self-discipline. Last week we Mythbusted a couple of concepts related to discipline and self-discipline. And that was just by way of recap that one, willpower and self-discipline are the same, which I would argue that they're not. Willpower, of course, being in the moment and self-discipline being a lot more around the structure and then just that little bit of willpower initially to stick to that structure until you form a habit. Realistically, self-discipline is probably the end product once you have created those habits, probably better. And the second one was that self-discipline is hard. Well, it's not really. It actually can be a lot easier because it takes a lot of the thinking out and preserves some precious brain space. Now, in saying that, we're going to now debunk the next myth, which is around that self-discipline requires stoicism and roboticism. So that's the other thing, right? So, I'm sure we've all had it at some point. I do as well. Whenever I try and instill another piece of structural routine, or particularly if that's given to me and I haven't had control to actually choose it, I really resist it, right? And you sort of feel like you have no freedom, and then you've got to keep kind of going through life in this kind of like Kaizen kind of just-in-time process for everything that you've got going on in your life. And we're human beings. We never get to do that. So I guess today's myth is around that, self-discipline requires stoicism or a lack of emotion, and you kind of just go through life like a robot. It's not really true. Although, to be fair, I have been accused of being slightly unemotive at times, which seems to display anger and anger pretty frequently. So, yeah, don't know what that's about. Also, these eyebrows, they tend to have a life of their own. Do not have the best poker face. So, don't know what anyone's going on about that. Anyway, it's not about me. So, anyway, getting back to my point, self-discipline doesn't mean that you become devoid of emotion or you always manage to control them or you don't feel anything, right? Like, it doesn't matter how much discipline you have, you're always going to experience some form of emotions. And you'd want to hope so. It's kind of like an important part of being human. Really, we're actually emotional beings. We feel things, then comes the thought, and then we think we're acting from a place of logic, but it's the emotions that are running the show. So, anyway, if you haven't dealt with some of the NLP and breathwork and, some quantum physics stuff, that concept might be a bit alien to you, but we'll go into that in some later lessons. Anyway, point being is that, look, part of being self-disciplined involves obviously a little bit of self-regulation or becoming more like a bit more of a commitment to just become a little bit more self-aware and accepting how you feel in any given moment and potentially the impact that it has on others. Like, I am not great at this. When I have got my focus on, I become a steam train, and sometimes I forget to take stock around how that might impact others around me. We're all human, right? Not perfect. So anyway, point being is that you need to really, part of self-discipline is actually just finding a little bit of a commitment to kind of checking in with yourself and being cognizant of how you're feeling in any given moment. And of course, there will be times when you're going to have to put your big girl pants on or your big boy pants on, and you're going to have to, display a little bit of self-control and calmly work through a situation and continue to engage and listen without allowing your emotions to overwhelm you, or you're just going to have to simply find a way to get the thing done that you need to get done. So this could come down to a very simple thing. So for example, you've made a commitment to get up on stage. Well, it doesn't matter what's happened in your day, you are going to have to find a way to get your cardio in. And I found that in the last prep, I had so many things going on that some days I would not get to the gym until 11 or 12 at night. Still got it done. You could argue that it was probably counterproductive given the lack of sleep I had. At the same time, it's what I did because I made that judgment call around what did I need, what was going to be more important towards, I had to prioritize basically. So again, you don't have to get to that level of commitment when you want to make a health and fitness change. This is obviously a very different and short-term focused goal, and you're not going to push through to that level of self-discipline in everyday life, right? This is just around when there are certain things, for example, like, you know, if you're a parent and you have a kid that needs to get something done, it doesn't matter what's happened at work or whatever else is going on in your personal life, you will usually find a way to make sure that you can be there for your kid and get them to where they need to be, right? So it's the same sort of thing. We all practice self-discipline, just really depends on your value system as to where it goes. Anyway, I guess my point is, you know, is that, you know, life is often messy, right? And we're often faced with difficult, stressful, emotion-filled situations, or, you know, things have happened and we're slowly worn away because there's so much going on that we just haven't had enough sleep, or we haven't eaten properly, or something like that. We're not quite resourced enough. And so we become a little bit more volatile with our emotions. And so the trick here is not to focus on being self-disciplined on things that are towards your goals. What you want to do is gently create the habit and just a little bit of self-discipline to creating space in this regard, which is to make sure that you take time and allow yourself to feel and connect with your emotions in any given moment. And then this is where, like, that self-discipline and self-control can help you once you've developed that habit. The one thing is that, one, you can sort of gives you the space to be able to reprioritize what actually needs to be done. And the second part is that it can help you keep yourself from projecting those emotions onto others, supposedly. I guess, look, if anyone can tell me how to do this when I'm hangry, I'm all ears, because I still haven't managed to figure that one out. So don't get me. You're lucky I've eaten lunch now, right? Anyway, jokes aside, obviously the ability to self-regulate is important when you're dealing with negative emotions such as fear, anger, and anxiety, because those things can really get in the way and become a roadblock for you in terms of actually achieving the things that you want in life, right? So it's not about ignoring those feelings or trying to step over them. It's about recognizing them and then figuring out a way to kind of invite them in and also still keep forward. So you can still experience fear and anger and anxiety, and you can choose to let it stop you, or you can find a way to acknowledge it and then obviously move it on so that you can keep going. So I hope that was helpful. I mean, it's not exactly groundbreaking. You probably already know these things, but I just like to reframe these things just to remind people of the knowledge that you already have. Anyway, point being as well is, you know, I am running a free webinar on Wednesday. It's called How to Whip a Discipline's Butt. It's actually part 2 of a motivation series webinar, all free, that I've been doing. So if you would like to join, and there will be a replay available for those who register, so make sure you register. You can comment "whip it" in the comments, or you can DM me and I'll send you the link to get registered. Would love to have you involved. It will be broadcast to one of the Facebook groups as well, so if you're not a member of that, make sure that you're in the Facebook groups. Otherwise, yeah, the best option is obviously to join by the Zoom if you can, because the more interactive it is, the more fun it can be. And, you know, any questions that you have or ideas and concepts that you want to explore, we can do that. We will also be going through some activities as well, so obviously that's a lot more fun when there's more people. So yeah, hope to see you there. Have a great Monday, and if you've got any other questions or comments, feel free to send them through. Cheers.